The number of Asian hate crimes in the U.S. has continued to rise since the start of the pandemic. 4,600 in 2020, 6,300 reported just last year.
And this morning, Matt Pearl is taking a look at how education advocacy groups and legislators are teaming up to use classrooms as the first line of defense.
We see movements at their apex. We rarely see them when they're a crayon in the hand of a cautious child.
I was one of the only brown kids in my school. And when I would draw pictures of myself, I would draw myself with a peach crayon because I didn't want to emphasize my difference from other children.
Decades later, Connie Alangovan saw those same peach-colored portraits at her children's school. They inspired her to type an email and start a movement.
I wrote to the people in the Central New Jersey Asian American Reading Group that I was in on getting API curriculum in the New Jersey public schools. And 5 people responded, and that's how we started.
The rise in anti-Asian hate crimes in the last 2 years has been widely reported. Nearly 11,000 incidents have been reported to the advocacy group Stop AAPI Hate. We hear far less about what's being done to stop it. Alangovan sent her email in March 2021, the same month where a gunman in Atlanta walked into 3 Asian American spas and killed 8 people.
Asian Americans are treated like perpetual foreigners, and actually we've helped build this country.
What happened next is its own education on how change gets made. Alangovan and her reading group wrote an open letter for AAPI studies in New Jersey public schools. They produced versions in multiple languages. In 2 months, they garnered 1,500 signatures.
Fewer than 2% of teachers are Asian American.
Ying Lu translated it to Chinese.
It's not surprising you don't see them show up in the public space. They're very much siloed, but on WeChat, I see many activities.
By year's end, a community stereotyped for not speaking out was holding rallies and testifying at the State House. Students at high schools recorded their thoughts.
In 2016, a young 6th grade student in New Jersey said she wanted to end her life after her own classmate refused to acknowledge her as deserving of equal treatment. And that girl is me.
People were telling us that it wasn't going to pass this year. They said, you know, you're going to have to wait a while, but that's good you got started. You know, but we were very insistent that it needed to pass now because our kids were suffering now.
This January, New Jersey became the 2nd state after Illinois to sign into law a K-12 requirement for AAPI curriculum.
They're only kids once, and we want them to feel safe. We want them to feel they belong.
Oh, it's nice.
We see the apex. We often don't see what comes next. Many who push for this curriculum fear it won't be enforced. They envision a long, drawn-out effort to ensure it is. But they also envision other states taking notice. Already, advocates in New Jersey have heard from those in Ohio and Florida, Pennsylvania and Georgia, and a handful of others. Seeds have been planted, as they once were in a cautious child holding a peach-colored crayon.
This is us creating our belonging in this country. We were motivated for our kids, and we weren't going to stop.
In Princeton, New Jersey, I'm Matt Pearl.